Hello again and welcome to another edition of Suds and Country. Hi, I'm Herb Sudson. On this show, I'm very happy to say I have Nashville singer-songwriter Kim Parent. She's going to be my guest for tonight. How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you?
Welcome to Suds and Country.
Thank you.
What have you been up to lately?
Well, I just recently cut my first 5 songs for a CD that I hope to put out maybe over a year's time. It might take me that long to finish it.
You wrote all the songs on that CD thus far?
Right, that's right.
The songs that you write, you ever use co-writers on them?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All right. So, are the songs that are on your demo all self-written completely or co-written with somebody?
They're all co-written.
All co-written.
Yes.
It's easier to co-write than to self-write?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Pick another brain?
Yeah, it's more fun.
More fun?
You get a sounding board when you've got an idea that, you know, if you're not sure if it's good or not, your co-writer can tell you, help you be
How many
objective.
songs do you plan to put on this CD?
Well, I've got 5 I started, 2 that I downloaded into Pro Tools from ADAT tapes, if that means anything
Don't mean
to
nothing
you.
to me.
Just, so there's 7 in the master computer right now.
Okay.
Then there's 3 older songs where the demos really stand up. They still sound great. And then maybe a few guitar vocals. So it might end up being 10 or 12 songs. That's my hope.
Cool. Very good. And it's going to be your first album that you have out so far. In all the years you've been in Nashville,
Well,
you've been working with other singers. You sang for other singers and you wrote for other singers. Now you're testing the water on your own?
yeah, yeah.
There you go. That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. So you figure about another year or so you're going to be
That's my goal.
on tour.
Well, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Maybe with the NSAI group,
Yeah,
you know, a
that's
small
right.
tour, you know.
Yeah,
that
that's
sort of
nothing wrong with
thing.
that.
Coffee
NSAI got to
houses.
do something right.
That's right.
Good. You wrote 4. I'm looking at a list here. They're pretty impressive list of artists you wrote for.
No, those are, you mean this?
You sang
These
James?
are the people
Oh.
that I sing, yeah, for.
Or have anybody ever cut one of your songs?
No, not yet. No,
Okay.
none of those majors.
Okay. Now, who cut your songs?
Well, my major label cut was by Ronna Reeves. She was on Big River
Yeah, I remember.
North.
I remember
Big River
interviewing
North
her
Records.
years ago.
It was called Big Night Out. And it actually, she sang it on the Statler Brothers show, so it got a little
Statler Brothers, I know.
TV, you know, got a little
Cool.
TV airplay, whatever, and that was my one major label cut.
Oh, okay. So you're better known in Nashville as a songwriter or a backup singer for these artists?
Definitely as a backup singer.
Backup singer.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
All right. So I see. I thought you were better known as a songwriter.
No, I wish. That's a long-term goal.
Is it?
Yes.
How long does it take to write a song?
Well, depends on what kind of song it is. If it's, you know, up-tempo, fun, peppy, it might be 1 or 2 sessions and it might be done. Usually for me, if it's a ballad that's very emotional, then it takes some more digging, it takes more refining of the lyric.
Heart-wrenching.
Yes, it takes time. It has to stew. It has to cook.
Strike every heart chord that you have, huh?
Just get the lyric just right, just so you know, it takes a
few
while.
tears later, you have
That's right.
you have a song, huh?
Yep.
And do you have to, when you write those songs, those heart-wrenching songs, are they from personal experiences or do you just put words together?
Oh, they have to be from a personal arena. I mean, I try not to have my heart too much out on my sleeve, you know, but not conceal it too much either. It's a delicate balance.
Tell us about your songwriting deal with Zamba when you went to Nashville.
I call it my songwriting boot camp experience.
Okay.
I had a very knowledgeable fellow that was running the company, still is, and he was really hard on me with my, you know, everything I brought in. He would ask for changes, but he made a great writer out of me. And even though it scared me a little bit, I think it was overall a great experience.
But you were writing before you even got to Nashville.
Yeah, I was writing very personal. I mean, they'd probably be
Love notes in the sand and stuff like that?
kind of like artsy. I don't know. I think now they'd be kind of in vogue.
Love letters in the sand. There you go.
I don't know.
Remember that? Love letters in the
I
sand,
don't know
going
about
back
that.
to... You were born right here in New Jersey, in Middletown.
That's right.
And you started playing in rock bands, you said?
Rock bands. I did solo work. I played a lot of clubs, just like the one out
Colorado
here.
Cafe?
Yeah, Colorado. And weddings. Did weddings. You name it. I did it for
And
years.
you didn't want to continue on in that direction? You
No,
wanted
yeah,
to...
the weddings. The money was great, and the satisfaction was nowhere.
No kidding. Didn't feel it, huh?
Oh, after a while.
All the same, huh?
Oh, yeah,
Everybody said I
just-
do, and you were out the door.
Right, we were singing "Celebrate" one more time,
Yeah, I
and I
know,
just couldn't
yeah.
do it. Couldn't do it.
How horrible.
Yeah.
What kind of honors did you win as a vocalist?
Well, in University of Delaware, I was going to college out there, and they had this little magazine called Fine Times Magazine, and they used to poll the reader audience, and they had like best band, best male vocalist, best female vocalist, da-da-da, and I won the female category 2, maybe 3 years in a row.
Okay.
So.
You never wanted to front for a band like
that's
one of the country bands that's on tour? You didn't want to front for a band. You would sooner be in the background singing.
Oh no, I went down there with two hopes. 11 years ago, I had an artist deal, sort of dangling. RCA Records was sort of
yeah, right here it is.
dangling
RCA,
it in front of me.
Okay.
And so I signed as a writer to, hopefully write for my record that would hopefully be made on RCA. And then about 4 years later, I'd signed over there twice. Once as a solo,
okay. Right.
and once as a part of a band.
Right. Now, 'cause I was just interviewed a group called Trick Pony not long ago, and, two guys and a girl, and they're touring around, or back in the old days, Highway 101 with
Right.
Paulette Carlson.
Yes, yes.
Did you see yourself in that position, traveling around as a Paulette Carlson or a Heidi Neufeld? Neufeld?
There was a time when I totally, that's all I wanted. Yeah.
Drive.
But that's an interesting example because they started and they built up the huge crowd in Texas, I believe. And then they came to Nashville with this huge following built in already and made a pretty fun sounding record. And a lot of times,
Trick Pony?
Yes, Trick
Trick
Pony.
Pony.
A lot of times it's the other way around in Nashville. They just sort of mix together all these ingredients and throw an artist out there and then hope that the artist will gather an audience. But Trick Pony did it the opposite way, which is good for them.
Well, they were the house band for Wild Horse for a lot of
Yeah,
years.
they did. That was very smart because they're great.
They're
I
good.
saw them at Fanfare this year. They're great.
They're good. I just had them on a TV show not too long ago. But I was just wondering why you didn't pick up that route to go rather than going to Nashville on your own. But now RCA wanted to hook you up with a band.
Well, the first time I was going to be a solo artist, I was in
Right.
development under Martina McBride and Laurie White. They were
Right.
ahead of me in the amount of time they'd been there and stuff. And I was,
That's early
sort of
90s,
waiting in the
93,
stables.
94.
Yeah, they developed a lot of artists at the same time.
Right.
And then they had to let me go for whatever reason. It
Okay,
just
yeah.
happens every 6 months.
Rotate, huh?
Yep, snip
No
off
kidding.
the
Snip,
people that
snip,
haven't
huh?
been launched yet. It's
Is that
just.
so? Keep coming back with new ones. Well, there's
Oh,
enough
yeah.
new ones. There's enough new ones there, huh?
Oh yeah, it's very typical. I mean, I felt bad for a while, but you have to realize that it's
You
real
rebounded
typical.
all right.
Oh yeah.
You don't look unhappy.
Not now.
No. How did it feel to sing
Oh, that was.
on all these artist records?
See, when I started getting that work, the first girl I ever sang for was Jody Messina on the Bye Bye. That
Yeah,
big
Bye
song.
Bye. That's a great song.
That changed my life because everything about the working situation was great. The songs were great. Her singing was great and inspired. The guys in the studio were great. The studios themselves were great. And so it was satisfaction. I was like, well, if I can't be the artist, I can be so close to it. And I can enjoy the songs, and I get paid really well, and the union, takes care of me and stuff. And I feel very blessed that I fell into that work.
Now, you're going to sing us a song. What's the song going to be?
Okay, well, we talked about maybe doing 2 of them.
We're going to talk. We'll do as many as you want to put in.
Well, the reason we said 2 was because
Okay.
the one is the very first one I wrote, one of
Okay.
the very first ones I wrote down in Nashville. And then the second one is the most recent one that I've written there. So
Which one do you
can-
want to sing first? Because we're going to break for that song
okay,
now.
I'll sing the earlier one.
Well, tell us
first.
about that song.
Well, when I moved to Nashville, I had a boyfriend in Jersey. And so we were madly in love with each other, and it was very sad because I
GU?
was trying, for both of us. And I was trying to build my life in Nashville, and it looked like I was single, but I wasn't.
Right.
Inside, my heart, was only half. And so the song's called I Don't Feel Single. I'm out with the girls, and I'm drinking beer and stuff, and I don't feel single on the inside.
What was that song? Feeling Single, Seeing Double, or Double Single? What was that song back?
I don't know.
Back in
That's
the
a different
70s?
song. Yeah, that's a drinking song.
That was a drinking
Yeah,
song.
this
There
is
you
a
go.
love, a sad
All
love
right.
song.
Tell us about this Precious Child, this Warner Brothers Christmas release. I'm reading
That
about
was.
here.
I hadn't yet moved to Nashville, and I had this friend, Craig Bickhart, who's a very respected, well-known writer, and his friend, Tom Schuyler. And they together wrote...
Snyder and Bickard. They were, sure, I got
Yes,
videos
they
by
were
them.
in a band together. Well, they wrote some beautiful Christmas songs, and if you
Yep.
can find a copy of this record, you need to get it. And he came and saw me at my first Bluebird show, Craig did, because he knew me when I lived in Delaware, and he invited me to sing on this beautiful Christmas project. I was Mother Mary. I represented her, you know, the songs that they had written from her point of view. So my mom always kids around saying I sang with Vince Gill because he was on the same project, but he probably sang 6 months or before or after I did, but we get a kick out of that.
According to what I'm reading here, you cut masters for other people and demos songwriting.
Yeah, that's what's really neat about living in Nashville is that you can be swimming in very deep waters and working with you know,
With all the sharks?
you can be working with, you know, very well respected artists like
Yes,
Reba
they
McEntire
are.
and Vince
They
Gill
are.
and Joe Diffie, and then the next day you can be down at County Q Studio in Berry Hill cutting demos for maybe the next Harlan Howard. You know,
Never
you don't know who you might be dealing with, who they might turn into someday as a writer.
Who have you cut masters for?
Well,
Name a few.
my
Throw some names out.
well, my very first master was with Jody Messina.
Okay.
Byron Gallimore was producing her. And then Byron used me for Jessica Andrews shortly after that.
Had her on
and-
the show.
Yeah. Oh, she's a doll.
Sweetheart.
Oh,
She's doing so good now.
Yeah, she's an amazing little artist. And Faith Hill.
I met
And
Faith.
sang on a couple of Tim McGraw songs. That was really funny because I don't usually sing on male artists' CDs.
They don't have backup female
Well,
backup?
they do, but it's used very sparingly. And so they called me for this Tim McGraw gig, and I was all psyched.
Yeah?
And I went and got a CD so I could practice his phrasing and you know, how he's. And I got there, and they had me do this. Ooh.
That was it, huh?
Just did
Yeah,
oohs.
yeah.
So that's a funny little story.
Is it different to sing for a female than a male?
Well,
background on
see, it seems to be what happens is if it's a male artist, they'll use all male singers. And if it's a female artist, they'll use one
Get
female
out, yeah.
and one male. That's kind of a typical equation. George Strait is different. He always uses Leanna Manis. She sings on all over his records
Right.
every time he puts one
Wow.
out. So, you know, sometimes they vary.
Have
but-
you ever been out on the road with any of these artists?
No, I've never
Never
had
made a road
desire.
trip yet, huh?
I've been offered a few auditions.
Okay.
But I've never even showed up to an audition because I like my life in Nashville, and I
Okay.
haven't wanted to go on the road
Your
yet.
life in Nashville is a lot different than New Jersey?
Oh, yes.
You like Nashville?
I love Nashville. It was culture shock at first
Why?
because, you know, we talk fast and loud.
I was going
and
to say, it's a little slower down there.
we curse,
Yeah,
and,
right.
you know, we do a
Yeah,
lot of stuff
yeah.
that they don't do down there, you know, and it was culture shock for a little while, but I love it. I
Yeah, you
love
won't
it.
come back to New Jersey.
Well, I come back.
Well,
you
you're
know,
back for the
That's
NSAI.
right. That's right. Oh, good
Yeah,
segue.
There you
That's
go. I'm on
good.
top of this one. And to visit mom.
Yes, my mom lives in Monmouth Beach.
Right.
And so this was delightful to be able to come up here. NSAI is the Nashville Songwriters Association, and they do great things. They represent songwriters down in Washington, D.C. when bills come through Congress that are going to
Yeah.
affect royalty. So they're a great organization. And now they've started up these satellite groups all around the nation and in Canada and stuff. And they're sending people like me to give seminars or, you know, 2-hour lecture on what my experience. So, you know, I just lecture
Yeah.
about working in the studio with these folks and having a writing deal for 3 years and what that was like. I just talk about my personal experience, and they get to ask me questions, and I'm
Well,
like,
what kind of questions they ask?
well, they want to know about what's the best way to get a song pitched to a certain artist, and is it really as hard as it seems to get a cut? Yes, it is. You know,
Right.
just
They're the
just-
most common questions.
yeah, just very earnest questions that most songwriters would ask somebody, you know. I mean, it'd be great if everyone could move down there, but it's, you know.
Don't work that way.
It's hard. I mean,
It's
it was
hard.
hard for me, and I had a writing deal in place, and it was still hard.
Now, this question might not be fair for you, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is the easiest way to make inroads into Nashville? Being a singer or being a songwriter?
Well, it depends on what you're best at. I mean, if you're a great singer, you will go down there and you will get work very quickly.
work such as what, demo work?
Demo work and
Bluebird work?
yeah, you can sing at a certain amount of clubs. You can try to audition to go out on the road and meet
Run
people that way.
background.
Yeah, if you're good, or if you're a really strong writer, you know, there's not a lot of people that are both. You know, like Vince Gill, he's brilliant at both,
Right.
right? Usually someone has a strength over the other
Sure.
one. So if you're a great writer, your name also will kind of get around quickly. I mean, I can think of some people who showed up, played a couple gigs at the Bluebird, everybody was talking about them. I
Right,
mean, it doesn't
exactly.
take long. It's a small town.
It is. It's a very small town.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Where your songs were cut by various independent artists in Nashville, Canada, and Australia. Have you heard from anybody in Canada and Australia yet?
No,
No?
no.
You just know they were cut there.
Well, Blue Water Music, they got that cut for me out of Australia, and I filled out all these, you know, papers, licensing and stuff like that, and
You're not getting
I
anything.
haven't seen anything or heard anything.
No residuals yet.
Well,
huh?
it was a contest that this one lady was entering,
Okay.
and then that was going to lead to some kind of record deal thing, and so you just never know, you know, you just keep shooting them out
Keep
there.
going,
and,
yeah.
and
Throw enough mud against the wall, something's going to stick on that
and
wall.
After a while, you have to do it because you love it.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, you can think about the money and you can think about fame or whatever, but if you know, you're going to wait a while, and you better love it. You know what I'm saying?
How many songs have you written so far?
Oh, jeez.
Round numbers within the
Well-
first bazillion.
Okay, at Zomba, I know I have about 100 in the Zomba catalog, like 30.
All co-written with them. Bill.
There's one song I wrote by myself. But that's, you know, maybe 30 a year. But then when I left Zomba, it was hard for me to just write full-time because I was waitressing and singing in studios to make my income.
Sure.
So I cut back, let's say, maybe I wrote 15 songs a year for the next, you know,
Right,
3
okay.
years or so. And now I'm still there. So how do you add that up? You know, maybe 300 songs or something. I don't know. I have to add them up sometime.
Some people, I guess people exaggerate because they always say they wrote thousands of songs already, you know, and all that kind of
Well,
stuff. Maybe they have.
I
don't
start a
know.
lot.
You start.
I don't finish them
Well,
all.
what gives you the inspiration to write a song? What do you look for as an inspiration, as a launch pad?
Well, mostly it'll just be this little feeling that just bothers me that won't go away. And I may not even have a title. In fact, I usually don't have a title. But then there's those rare occasions when I'll hear like 3 words in a sentence, dunk, 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 that just sort of have lilt or something.
In
and-
conversation with somebody?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see that a lot in Nashville. You will see a lot of people quick turn around, whip out a pad of paper,
Yeah.
write something down, and then come back to the conversation.
And the person that said it never gets credit
That's
for it.
right. That's right, because it's fair game. It's like you're fishing, you know. You just caught a fish, and they don't have to know about it. In fact, I remember I was
That's a
doing...
shame that person said it never knows.
Well, I was at a session once with this young, very hungry writer who had just gotten a writing deal. And I said something about such and such and such as it all goes down. And he said, "Oh, that's a title." And I looked across the glass at him and I thought, I don't want to write with this guy. Because I could have said, well, you're writing it with me, pal, because
Yeah,
you just
right.
gave it up. I wouldn't have noticed that it was a title. And now I know that he has something called As It All Goes South or something like that. So I think he might have brought it into the writer's room and they might have metamorphosized
He
it.
eliminated the such and such and such.
Well, just because not because to keep me out of it, just because that's the process, you know, it's a creative process.